And again, not all of you are going to want to choose this one especially because it's kind of specific, but some of you, especially if you are talking about a motif or if there's a specific lesson or language that you want to talk about, or if you just think that this fits with what you're trying to prove, this will be like, for a few of you, this one will maybe be your best paragraph. I called it literary analysis. I called it literary example. I don't know. It's literary device paragraph. So it's basically, these are the things, like the stylistic choices that the author makes. So you're going to zoom in on like how the author actually wrote the book and how that helps prove your main idea. So just like always, topic sentence that tells me what you're about to prove. Hey, the author used a lot of symbols. The author used a lot of repetition. The author used a lot of metaphor. All flashbacks, holy cow. Flashbacks and flash forward. So like you could just talk about how the way that Toni Morrison jumps about in time and what that does, right? Like this is gonna be a really helpful one. Just like always, exact words from the text. Cite things appropriately. We have talked about that. As always, give context to each quote and use your words to explain the examples and how they back up the main point. So like, context before and after. Set the quote up, tell me when it happens, and then afterwards tell me how what the quote matters, explain it, over explain it. And then finally, sandwich the paragraph, remind me what you prove, like what your first line was about, and connect back to your thesis or your main idea. Here's my example. Topic sentence. Dybeck uses intentional language and imagery to better paint a picture of the unexpected and positive twists and turns life can take. So I tell you right now, again, yeah, you already know that my main idea is about how like life is good, but sometimes unexpectedly. Here are the two things that I chose: diction and imagery. Imagery is the way that the author like paints a picture. Diction means like the words, the intentional words and language that the author chooses to use. I'll be honest with like the flu, like that story isn't great for this. Like these are pretty weak examples, but Sula is excellent. There are tons of examples of the way that the author like writes and uses metaphors and flashbacks and repetition and symbols and motifs. Like you should have a lot of stuff from that. So this is me jumping into my quote or my context. Rather than just saying Faye is sick, Dybeck uses strong and emotion-inducing language like, this is my quote, nausea, vertigo, diarrhea, I skipped forward some, fever, dreams that came and went more like mirages, I skipped forward some, lethargy. Again, you should have not just one there. That's my example of like, here are some words that the author chose to use. They are emotion-inducing. Like, if I don't know about you, but I can't read the word diarrhea or the word nausea without feeling something, right? Like, makes me clench up. And then I give more context afterwards. These words elicit a response in the reader that allows the story to come alive and the reader to put themselves in Faye's unfortunate shoes. I think that's what strong words do, right? I hear the word diarrhea, I feel for Faye, that makes me put myself in her shoes, that makes me understand her experience more. So this is just me kind of over-explaining what I think the author is doing and why I think that they're doing it. That's how you should kind of explain your quote for this type. Now I'm going to give some more context for my second quote. You don't necessarily have to have a second quote, but because I had two kind of weak examples, like if I were you, I would maybe try to have a couple examples about one thing. I had weak examples, so I used two examples of literary devices. Dybeck also paints a clear picture of the difference in Faye upon her return, as Aldo is, so again, here's my context. She is coming back to work. Again, not a lot of context. I don't need a lot because this is my third paragraph, maybe, or whatever order you want to go in. Aldo is started by the sight of her sitting, legs crossed, back behind the reception desk. And then I kind of like turned my last explanation of that quote back into my connecting back to the topic sentence and the main idea. Dybeck again chooses his words carefully to force the reader not to just read the story, but to experience it. So I think that like he's painted a picture, and that makes me experience it in a way that makes the lesson of unexpected good hit home. So here I just literally named. Oh yeah, remember this whole paper is about us learning that good can come from unexpected places. Yep, that's exactly what my claim was. And now again, I'm just telling you in a different way. Here's how the way the author wrote proved that point. Again, this one won't be for everyone, but for some of you, you're going to hear this and you're going to be like, yes, this is absolutely perfect for the point that I'm trying to make. The final step is keep this document open and then write this if this is a paragraph that you want to write. At this point, this is the last video, assuming you watch these in order. So at this point, you should know which of the three types of body paragraph you want to write. You should do them carefully. You should not use the same quote in multiple paragraphs. So, like, you should have different, whatever. I don't need to explain that. Different quotes. You can't use the same quote 9 times and expect that to be proving things well. Fantastic. Good job. Good luck.